In this video, we're going to look at how to use the DIY Soylent website to create your own personalized Soylent recipe. If you're not sure what Soylent is, it's probably worth pausing this video and having a look through the wiki, which you can do by clicking the link on the top right. First off, let's sign up to the site so we can create our custom recipe. Before we create our recipe, we need to work out our daily nutrient needs, which we can do by creating a custom nutrient profile. Our daily nutrient needs will depend on our age, sex, weight, how much exercise we do, among other things. Let's fill in some values to see how many calories we need per day. I'm going to say I want to maintain my weight, but we can see what happens if we decide to reduce weight by changing our selection here. The calculator says we need 2009 calories per day, which breaks down to 251 grams of carbohydrates, 126 grams of protein, and 56 grams of fat. For all our other nutrient needs, we're going to use the US government's recommended daily intake for a 19 to 50-year-old male as a template. Based on our input, we now have a custom nutrient profile which we can target with our recipe. Each of the nutrients the body needs are listed here with a target amount. In some cases, we also list a maximum safe level, which we should not exceed. Let's click on the Edit button and change the name of the profile to Nick's Nutrient Profile. We'll also keep the Hide from Listings box checked, as this is a personal nutrient profile, so there's no need to share it with everyone else. We can also fine-tune our nutrient profile from this screen, but I'm going to leave it as is for now. Another useful feature is the Profile Comparison tool, which we can use to compare one nutrient profile to another. Let's compare our personal profile to the US RDI we used as a template. We can see that the bolded items are different. In this case, everything is the same except calories, carbs, protein, and fat, which is fine because those values have been calculated for our individual needs. Now that we have a personalized nutrient profile, let's create a custom recipe. Right now, the DIY Soylent website has over 300 recipes submitted by the community. Although you can of course enter a recipe from scratch, many users prefer to find a recipe they like and use it as a starting point. Since there are so many recipes, we'll need to use the filters to find a good candidate. First, let's filter the list to only include US recipes. Next, let's add a filter to view only recipes with 90% completeness or above. After applying those filters, we're left with about 24 recipes. Looking through the list, this basic complete Soylent looks like a good candidate as it only has 10 ingredients and is 100% complete. So let's take a look. The first thing you'll notice on the recipe detail screen is the spreadsheet of ingredients. Each row contains an ingredient, and as you scroll across we can see how much of each nutrient is contributed by each ingredient. Down at the bottom, we can see the total amount of each nutrient as well as our target. For example, here we see our recipe has 0.9 grams of phosphorus and our target is 0.7 grams. So our recipe has 129% of the required amount of phosphorus, which is well below the 4 gram maximum, or 23% of the maximum to be exact. You can click on the column headings to sort the spreadsheet so you can find which ingredients contribute most of a particular nutrient. For example, if I click the column for fat, I see that the soybean oil is the largest contributor. Scrolling down a little further, I see a different view of the nutrients in my recipe. This one is color-coded, green being a complete nutrient and red being a nutrient over its maximum. By default, we can see this recipe as using the US Daily Recommended Intake profile as its base. Let's override that with our custom-made nutrient profile. Now the nutrient targets for this recipe have been temporarily updated to use our personal profile. We can see that calories, carbs, and fat are a little too much, with protein too low. Let's make a custom version of this recipe to fit our needs. First, click the duplicate button to give us our own personal copy. Now we see that we're the author of this copy of the recipe. Clicking on the History tab also shows us this recipe originated from Bachelor Chow. Let's click the Edit button and change the name to Nick's Bachelor Chow. We'll also apply our personal nutrient profile and make the recipe private. Let's change some of the quantities of ingredients so we're closer to 100% on our nutrient profile. Clicking on an ingredient brings up the nutrient breakdown for that particular ingredient. We can use the plus and minus button to increase or decrease the amount of an ingredient by 1 unit. Or we can just use the keyboard to type a specific amount. As we change the amount of the ingredient, we can see our target percentage for each ingredient changing. Once we're happy with our changes, we can save them. Now let's say we want to add a new ingredient to our recipe. Start by clicking the Add Ingredient link at the bottom of our list of ingredients. The ingredient entry form allows us to specify the name of the ingredient as well as sourcing and cost information. Below that, we can enter the nutritional information. One great feature is the ability to pre-fill an ingredient from the ingredient database. For example, typing in banana and pressing enter will pre-fill the form with values from a previously entered recipe. Once we've finished our ingredient, we can save it and see it is now appearing in our recipe. How about if we need to edit an ingredient? Simply click the name, then the Edit button. You can remove an ingredient from your recipe by clicking the trash icon. That pretty much covers the majority of the DIY Soylent functionality. If you find any bugs or have any feature requests, please click the feedback button on the left of the site and leave your comments there.